Hey everyone, my name is Tristan and welcome to my small workshop in my basement. In this video, I'm gonna show you how to make Steve's head from Minecraft out of EVA foam. This is the perfect project for beginners because it's very simple to make and it doesn't require many tools. Plus, it's wearable. So let's not waste any time and get right into the build. For this entire build, I'll be using half-inch thick floor mat foam. This build is really simple because it's essentially 6 squares glued together. To make sure my lines are straight, I'm using a metal straight edge. A Sharpie is perfect to draw onto foam. At first I made my squares 18 inches big, thinking it would give me the size I wanted. The head ended up being way too big, but I realized that a bit later. Now that all of your 6 squares are traced down to your foam, it's time to cut them out. For that, I'm using a very sharp box cutter. I cut all my squares at a 45-degree inward angle. I'm still using the straight edge to make sure my cuts are straight. Take your time on this step because if you mess up, you're wasting a lot of foam. When you're done, you should end up with 6 squares, all with inward angle cuts all around. This is when I realized that 18 inches squares would be way too big, so I decided to cut down every square to 12 inches. I ended up wasting a lot of foam, so if you're making this project, make your squares 11 inches. This way you can fit 4 of them on a single sheet of foam. As I did earlier, I cut down my foam squares at an inward angle using a very sharp box cutter and a straight edge. As you can see, 12 inches makes much more sense than 18 inches. It's still a bit too big, but I don't mind. It's now time to glue everything together using contact cement. I'm using Barge, but most other brands will do the trick. I put my contact cement in a squeeze bottle, which makes applying it to foam much easier. I add glue to every square but one because we don't want to close up our cube just yet. Give your glue about 2 minutes to dry and then carefully stick your pieces together. Remember, contact cement bonds instantly, so line up your pieces as best as you can before sticking them together. And wear a respirator. Contact cement is pretty nasty and you don't want to inhale those fumes. The piece we didn't glue to the rest of the cube will be the bottom of the head, so we'll have to cut a hole in it so your head can fit through. I'm using a helmet that I know fits me as a reference for the size of the hole, but you could just measure the circumference of your head. Then I use a straight edge to find the center of the square. After that, I make marks to know how wide and long the hole should be. And finally, I use a round object of the right size to help me draw a perfect oval. Now you can just cut it out using your box cutter. As you can see, there's way too much space inside the cube and I need something to support my head. For that, I'm using a cheap toy helmet from the dollar store. I need to add support to the top and sides of the helmet so it sits properly in the cube. And of course, I'm using EVA foam. I just stack pieces of foam on top of each other and I glue them together with hot glue. I sand down the top and sides of the helmet so the glue adheres to it, and then I glue my stacks of foam to the helmet. When that's done, I use more hot glue to stick my weird contraption inside the cube. I decided to add supports to the front and back too. Now I'm making an 8x8 grid on the front side of the cube using a Sharpie and a metal ruler. I'm only doing this to the front for now because I want to know where the eyes should be. When I'm done, I use a reference to mark out the spot for the eyes and I use a very sharp X-Acto knife to carefully cut them out. Then I finally glue down the underside to the rest of the head. The glue seams and the surface of the foam have imperfections which can be filled with a flexible filler. My two favorites are Quick Seal and Liquitex Light Modeling Paste. When you're done filling your seams, you can use water to smooth down your filler. I was too lazy to do this. I let the filler dry for a couple of hours and then I draw my grid on the rest of the head. This definitely takes a while, but it's completely worth it and will make painting much easier. To seal my foam Steve head, I'm using a white spray-on rubber. The reason I'm using white is because when it's dry, the Sharpie grids I drew earlier will still be visible. I used peel coat because I had some leftover, but Plastidip and Leak Seal would give you much better coverage. To make sure the Sharpie doesn't seep through the paint, you need to apply at least 2 or 3 coats of Mod Podge or clear PVA glue. To not have visible brush strokes, I'm using a fine, high-quality paintbrush. You could use a good quality sponge brush instead and have even better results. It's finally time for painting. For every color, I'm using Liquitex Basics acrylic paint because it has pretty good coverage. I paint every square individually, which is very tedious but gives an awesome result. The whole painting process took more than 8 hours, but it was still really easy, it just took a while. For every new color I mixed, I took a look at my reference photos to make sure it matched. I'm not looking for perfection, I just want it to look good. Here is Steve's head all painted. It looks so cool and I love it. To protect my beautiful paint job, I sprayed the entire thing with 2 coats of rust-oleum clear matte, which gives the entire thing a pretty cool finish. It's now time to cover the eyes and I'm using a clear plastic box. And to make the eyes black, I use window tint. I just cut 2 2.5-inch squares out of the plastic box and I cover each of them with 2 layers of window tint. I decided to apply the tint dry, which is harder and gives more bubbles, but I really don't mind. The last step is to glue in the lenses using hot glue. And now you should have your own Minecraft Steve head. So, this is the final result, and although it's clearly not perfect, I love it. As I already said, it's a great project for beginners because it's very simple to make, it just takes a while. So this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, you can leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more cool stuff like this. Also, I have an Instagram account and an Etsy shop which you can both go check out, the links are in the description. Thanks again for watching and I'll see you later. Bye.